Okay, first up is going to be this. Ariel, you reviewed it. This was one of the first watches I owned in this range, and I wore it for years before I got into mechanical watches. So this is an iteration. The Tissot T-Touch Connect Sport Hybrid Smartwatch with improved software. Ariel, give us a short history of the Tissot T-Touch. I love this watch. Not necessarily this version of it, but I love this watch.
Yeah, I think that's really important to say off the bat, that the T-Touch of old has really nothing to do functionally with this watch. There's, of course, design similarities. This is a entirely different type of watch. This is essentially a light smartwatch. This is meant to be a combination of a traditional looking Swiss watch with Swiss made stuff and Bluetooth connectivity and some activity tracking and stuff like that. It does have a photovoltaic cell dial, which is also made in Switzerland, which is quite efficient and something that they're very proud of. Um, I want to emphasize that it's really a hybrid, because even though it is smartwatch and you can charge it and stuff like that, and it has notifications, it doesn't have sort of the range of features an Apple Watch or a Garmin or something like that would have. It's very pretty looking. The materials are nice. This is, again, it's for the type of person who's sort of like on the fence and likes traditional watches, is like smartwatch curious. And there are a lot of people out there. For someone like me who has had a lot of exposure with very high functionality smartwatches, I have issues with some of the limitations of the software and stuff like that. This is the second time we've looked at this watch, because since Tissot came out with it, they've improved the software a lot, quite significantly. And I had this long article on the first one, which was like, here's all the software Tissot needs to add to it. And Tissot was like, oh, we added a bunch of it. Um, the some of it is, again, still a little bit early. For example, there's something called the solar intensity function. And remember, this is a solar powered watch. So I said, wouldn't it be great if A, it told you like how much power it was generating, and B, there was a warning indicator, because our skin isn't meant to be outside for too long. It just kind of be interesting. It's like, you've been outside, but now's enough. You should go inside. You may be overexposed, something like that. All it does is give you a current kind of graphical indicator of how strong the sun is. It's not really precise. You don't know what you're looking at. No history over time. So they're adding stuff to it. But I think what's most impressive is the hardware is really nice. And it is sort of a work in progress. And this is not by any means the first time that the Swatch Group, which owns Tissot, has gone in the smart space. And I like that they won't give up. They're never the first. They always do it a little bit differently, but I love them for keep trying.
Yeah. Now I understand why they didn't send it to me to test, because solar intensity function would just have registered it being night across here. That would have been it.
Just a quick question. Oh, you say it's got updated software. Does it automatically update like a phone, or do you have to buy a watch to get the latest functions? You have to continuously buy everything.
It updates.
Okay.
You have to download the software, but it updates.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Good stuff. Right. Well, let's decide: is it a hit, a miss, or a maybe? 1, 2, 3, go. Miss, maybe, miss, maybes, misses and maybes. I would love for this to be a hit, but it just has none of the charm of the original touchscreen Tissot T-Touch. With was it an aluminium bezel, steel bezel? I can't remember which it was, but it was just a great, great watch. Lasted for ages, and this is too big. The other, well, yeah, that's me. Panorama saying this is too big for what it does. So it was a miss from me. David, how'd you vote?
I voted a maybe. I think if you want this sort of functionality, it's difficult to get it elsewhere. I'm not a fan of the execution or the design. I can't really resonate with this look. I wouldn't want to see this watch on my wrist, to be honest, just because of the design. But if you like it, it's you can go with it. It fulfills its function, and as Aria said, I also respect Swatch Group for sticking with it and just continuing this art collection.
Yeah, Ripley.
I really want to like it. I like that Tissot even does this in the first place, and that Swatch Corp does this. But I said it's a miss. How much is this piece, by the way?
Ooh, there's a question.
About $1,000, a little bit over $1,000.
Yeah, that's
So
kind of
at a little bit over $1,000 for 1 foot in, 1 foot out quasi smartwatch Tissot, I'd rather go get like an Apple Watch SE or a Garmin Vivo Active 5 for like 250 and then get a mechanical PRX for like literally the same price. Then you get a nice mechanical Tissot, you get a smartwatch that'll do far more, and you can not feel like you've compromised on both fronts. So I feel like it's a little bit expensive for what it is. If this was a really entry level model for Tissot and it was like a few $100s in the same way that, you know, the least expensive Hublot are their connected watches, I could kind of say, okay, well, this is sort of for like the watch curious who might be wanting something a little bit more elegant than their Apple Watch or their, you know, or that maybe they had a basic like Timex and they want to kind of get their foot into nicer watches or Swiss watches. But this price point, I have a hard time assigning it any type of value proposition, whether it's from a functional perspective or a horological one. I kind of feel like that same price could get you two watches that both succeed at, you know, what this aims to do.
Mm. Well, Joseph in the chat, who's wearing an Urban Jurgensen, is saying that this is a miss. Kevin, what did you think?
Hold on, I gave this a maybe. It's not really my style. I can understand why Swatch have done it, and to be perfectly honest, I think more brands need to go down this route. But I do agree with Ripley. You can buy, a cheaper Tissot and have something which has more function on the other wrist pieces. That's what I do. I always wear a little tracker, which it's cost me £30, which does way more than anything else. And then you have your watch of choice on your main wrist. So it's a maybe. There are people who will buy it, but it's just not for me.
Ariel, what do you reckon?
I like a lot of this, and I see potential in it. I want them to make a much more robust product that has more of those fun complications and things like that, like we loved from the original T-Touch. So they sort of call it T-Touch, but it's sort of only loosely related to that world. So my heart is sort of still there on that type of gadgety style watch. This is a complicated watch, and one of the biggest issues has to do with power consumption. So again, it's something that I'd happily wear around. The problem is there's a lot of other watches that I'd rather wear because I'm not a one watch person. This is a watch for someone that probably wears a smaller amount of watches than me. So if I want a smartwatch experience, I'll go all the way in that direction. If I want a traditional watch experience, I have watches for that. So that's why it's sort of a maybe for me. But someone who is more like a regular person that has less watches, this is going to make more sense.
Ariel, quick question. It's called the T-Touch, but is the screen actually a touch screen?
Barely.
You can touch it.
Can't touch this. It was so funky, the original. But you couldn't fix them once they broke. Azad, what do you reckon?
I think the T-Touch had its time, when it first came out. Smartwatches have moved such a long way that it has become pretty much redundant. And when you think what's out there already, there's a number of Casio models that will do something similar to this. Maybe not quite as advanced, but certainly for half the price or even less. And I agree with Kevin. I mean, I do a fitness tracker, and that serves me for everything I need, and then I can wear something nicer on the other wrist as well. So it's a miss for me.